Konnichiwa, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing a bit of an informational video of how I study for midterms and mostly how I study for Japanese and how I learn Japanese. So if you guys are interested in how a student would do it, this is how I would do it. I am currently in Japan studying at Kansai Gaidai University. I have midterms this week, so I will be studying. Let's see how I do it.
What I do is I have books for certain classes that I will go through and read and highlight. I can highlight these because they're like paper that the school gave us. And then I take the most important things and I write them down so I can easily like refer back to that. Another thing I do is when I am in class, I take notes on my computer. Definitely just writing things down helps me the most. So I will go through my computer and like look at the notes, see what's important, and then write that down on this same sheet of paper. So like this is all my information for like studying. Usually what I'll do is I'll have this paper to like easily look at, and then I can take a picture of it, look at it on my way to school, look at it like in my spare time, get the information through my head. I also have a Japanese test coming up, so I will show you how to study for that as well. So here is my study guide for the midterm exam. These are the things that it's going to be on. So we've got listening, conjugation, particles, grammar, translation, and kanji. And then this is the oral exam, which I already did, and I think I did pretty decent. So on here, I've already filled it out. Usually we'll get an answer key, but we didn't for this one. So I wrote out my answers here. From this, I was kind of able to see what I need to know for the test. We need to learn new sentence structures, te form, kara, which means because. So I went through my notes and I wrote them down in my notebook. So here is some of the notes that I've taken of the things that are important for the test. And then this was like our review guide. And over here, I wrote out a bunch of the verbs that I need to know because that is arguably the most important thing to study. So I definitely make sure to study the verbs. I have a lot of vocab lists, but those are less important because in Japanese, I would say for English speakers or foreign speakers, the best thing to learn is katakana writing system, which is basically the writing system that they use for foreign words. So for example, spoon, which is an English word or a word from a different country, would be written spoon in katakana instead of spoon in hiragana, which would mean it is an original Japanese word. But for example, chopsticks, you would write hashi instead of chopstiku. Yeah. So anyways, the verbs are more important to learn. If I want to say I want to read my book, hon o yomimasu, I will read my book. You can't really fake it till you make it, which I'm not saying that I am because usually I have a pretty good memory for vocabulary, but I do like look over it. Definitely more important to learn the verbs. And then this test is also more focused on the verbs and their forms like past tense, future tense, short forms, te forms, ta forms. Yeah, and also adjectives. We're learning adjectives now too. What I do is write them in this book, write all of the forms for each verb that there is. So there's ru verbs, u verbs, whatever. And then let's talk about the kanji now. So for kanji, I kind of study it a little bit differently. In each class, see up here, it is a different class than my Japanese class. I haven't written on this yet, but we get these papers in class, each class with new words for us to learn because each of these are words or things, I guess. What I do during class though to make sure that I can study properly is, so for lesson 7 we have to learn new words, obviously. So I put the kanji here, what it means, how to say it, and then I have to put the stroke order in here. So this is only 2 strokes. When I have a test, I'll come back to this paper and write it here. So write it like that. Easy enough. That's like an easy one. Yeah, so that's how I'll study that. And then also, if I have used up this paper and I'm not sure enough, I will go back to this notebook where I have everything laid out for me, and I will just write them there. I don't usually use different colors, but that's just to help me figure out how to write them and get more comfortable with it, and also remember them better. The teachers here at Kansai Gaidai will also often upload more review sheets and the answer keys along with them to make sure that you understand what you're doing. We have homework pretty much every class. The teacher hands back to us literally the next day, which I think is crazy because sometimes I don't even get my homework back until the end of the semester, let alone graded and like the next day. My teacher is very helpful. She always like writes, if you get wrong, this is why you got it wrong. You can also look back on your homework if you need. There are some great apps to help. I don't really like Duolingo, but I will say it is good for learning sentence structure, which is very important. And I find the sentence structure to be the hardest part of learning Japanese. In English, you would say, I read my book. And then in Japanese, it would be, I book read. And then the verbs are very difficult. That's why I have to spend most of my time studying them. And it gets even more complicated with time and day. So I find Duolingo helpful in that aspect. I wouldn't necessarily use it if you are using it like to study for a test, because you can't really control what you are learning on Duolingo. So I will use the Genki apps for verb forms. It costs $5, a little like outdated, but it is the app that comes with the textbook we use in class. They also have Genki vocabulary and Genki kanji. I did buy the vocabulary one, but I found that I don't really need it. I tend to kind of just study vocabulary by just looking over it. Another good app that you can get on your computer is called Anki. It's free to download. You can download like different decks, I guess, of flashcards to learn, and my friend Sam helped me set it up. Big thanks to him for that. It definitely follows more of what I'm learning, but flashcards don't really help too much. If you do get use out of flashcards, I would recommend that, and I would also recommend Quizlet, as they do have a lot of the Genki vocabulary and Japanese vocabulary that I'm learning. So yeah, I think that is about it for me to study. If I think of anything else, I will let you guys know. Wish me good luck on my midterms.